Céad míle fáilte and welcome to a package and pickups video. And this one is going to be both a retrospective pickup video and a kind of an eBay frustration video. During the week I finally got around to joining the Retro Collect forums, and part of the reason for doing this was to use the database to try and track the games that I'm missing in my Sega Master System set. I was going through my games then and I realised, oh wait a second, I haven't added in a couple of titles that I already had into my set. So when I thought I had something like 47 to go, it seemed to be less. And in my own total that I previously had, it didn't even tally with my Retro Collect total. Part of that is because Retro Collect doesn't have the Sega card games, but yeah, I can't explain why the numbers are all off. So for this video, I'm just going to say 45 to go, even though I'm not too sure if that's correct. It's in or around that. And next time around, because I'm sure there'll be more Master System pickups in the next video, I'll have a proper total. But anyway, I mentioned that this is going to be eBay frustration. And around just coming up to Christmas, I won 2 auctions. And you might see that there's only one package here, which probably is an indication of one of the frustrations. But probably the reason why I kind of forgot about these was it was coming up to Christmas, so you know things were kind of busy and it was Christmas pickups and whatnot. So this kind of got left and I forgot about them. But the first of the packages obviously never showed up. Now, the item was actually an American Master System game. It was James Buster Douglas, and it was just the box and the cartridge. There was no manual, but it's a fairly rare American game. If you exclude the UPC games and maybe the re-releases, it's probably the rarest of the games, and there's a whole history behind it. Basically, James Buster Douglas lost his title shortly after the game came out, and I think it was pulled. I'm sure people who collect NTSC stuff would be able to go into the history a lot better than I could. But it ended up having ultimately a very short print run, and it's kind of in demand because there's a bit of a story behind it. Kind of like the Smurfs 2 in Europe. Because there's a story, people are aware of it and look for it more. So when they showed up on eBay UK, it's not something I was actively looking for, because in Europe it's super common. It's called well, there's actually 2 versions. There's heavyweight boxing or something like that, or heavyweight champion, that's it, which is very, very common, very easy to pick up. And then it was later re-released as what's his name, George Foreman's KO boxing by Flying Edge. That's still common, and it's maybe a little uncommon, but again, it's, you know, a $5, you'll probably pick it up online. Whereas a complete version of James Buster Douglas, easy go $200, $300 in the right auction over there. So I seen this one and I put it into my watch list, and I wasn't too sure about it because the seller was new to eBay, so they had no feedback. But I emailed them anyway and said, look, do you ship to Ireland, how much would this be? And they got back to me and gave me a price, and basically, okay, that was fine. Now, I'm guessing a lot of people were put off by the fact that he had very little feedback. You know, it was a rare-ish item by someone who'd no feedback as a buyer even or anything. And it was incomplete, so naturally that does knock the value down. But I put in something like £15 as my maximum bid, and I ended up winning it with something like £13. And I know I ended up speaking to a member on the Sega forums about it because he had been thinking about bidding as well. But because it was being delivered to Ireland, I put in a request then, you know, could you please send me the updated invoice with the Irish shipping? And I didn't hear anything back straight away. Normally people are fairly prompt, I find, about sending you the request for the money. They want their money. So I prompted it again and just said, look, could you please send me on the invoice? And I got the invoice then. So I paid it, and that said, look, I've sent on the money to you, could you let me know when you send it out? And then I gave it a few days because this was coming up to a weekend, and you know, nothing happens on a weekend. And at the beginning, maybe Tuesday of next week, I just sent them another message saying, by any chance, have you been able to get that posted? Nothing. Another few days pass, and kind of repeat the process. And eventually, like, it'd been over a week, and I hadn't heard anything. The item wasn't marked as dispatched. Nothing. So I contacted eBay customer support, and they said, try and contact them again, but if you're not getting anywhere, you may be best off going to PayPal. So I tried a couple more times to get through to him. Now they did it. eBay support actually gave me his phone number, but because I'm in Ireland, I hadn't really great means to call. I don't have a landline, so it would have cost me a lot of money. So I said, okay, if I can't get through to him in eBay messages, then he's probably not going to respond anyway. They responded before, so you know, there's no reason why not to now. And I'd been getting, like, by that stage it probably would have been the better part of 2 weeks, so loads of time. So eventually I you know, put in an eBay or a PayPal claim, and thankfully, you know, they reviewed in my favour because they didn't respond to PayPal's requests for you know, what their side of the story was. And I think PayPal gave them something like 10 days or 2 weeks or something like that, and if you don't contact them, then it automatically awards the claimer or the claimant the refund. So thankfully I got my money back in the end, but it was frustrating nonetheless because it was an item that I hadn't been targeting, but it was like, oh well, if one of these things pop up, I definitely like to add to the collection. So the eBay user was Housemount, or House_Mount, I think was the name. And now I left bad feedback as well, so I would not recommend using them at all. They had a few other things both before and after them for sale, so if you see them, and the rare things, if you see them, steer clear. At least that's my recommendation. Your mileage may vary, but it must have been the time for it. You know, coming up to Christmas, you kind of got the people chancers out to make money. There was another auction around the same time, and it was for 6 Master System games, 3 of which were either uncommon or would go for a bit in money or in auction, and then 3 were quite common. And they were all listed as in very good condition. You know, and I ended up winning it for about, I think it was maybe 30 sterling, something along those lines, and then shipping on top of that. Maybe it was 32, I can't remember the exact figures because it was like 3-4 months ago now. But initially that seemed fine, and I do have a package, so it did show up. That part was okay. Although you can always tell, like, I mean, even before opening this, I could tell the smell of smoke. It's one thing I just cannot get rid of out of my games, and when I've tried to before, I've damaged inserts and manuals and whatnot, which was very upsetting. But yeah, the smell of smoke drives me mad on games. So the games arrived, but when I opened them, it was a case of, personally, I didn't think that they were in anything like the condition described. Now, one of them I've actually, sorry, there was about 2 or 3 that were in good to one of them is maybe in very good condition, and one of them I've actually traded with 2TUK. That was in pretty good condition. That was Krusty's Funhouse. So I'll get the good stuff out of the way with, because then I can focus on the negative. Yeah. So the first game that, and this was in very good condition, I will give them that. Like, I haven't even cleaned it. Is Cosmic Spacehead by Codemasters. And all the Codemasters games on the Master System do tend to attract attention in auctions. If you're patient, you can get them for decent prices, but to buy it now will be up on 20 quid, and it is nice and complete, and the manual and whatnot's in good condition, and it also has the poster. So out of my Codemaster games, I'm just missing the poster for Micro Machines, otherwise I'd have them all complete. There we go. So Cosmic Spacehead. So if anyone's got the poster for Micro Machines, let me know. Because that's probably the game out of all of them that I'd be most interested in, but however. In fact, it was for that very reason I was probably a little more impatient than I was with the others. But this one I was pleased with it. You know, I don't know what others are like, but when I get a set of games, I tend to examine them from, shall we say, most valuable to least valuable, or failing that, ones that I'm interested in to least interested in. So yeah, this one, good condition. I only played it very, very briefly to try out that it worked. I couldn't even figure out what was going on. It's one of those things I'd probably have to pay more attention. It was literally just, can I get this to go? There's a little mark at the back there, but I think that might even be on the plastic, so we'll probably clean up. I mean, this one was barely even dusty, like it was fine. So it was in complete contrast to a lot of the other ones. Now, let's see, how's this one? This one's okay. Common enough game though, Asterix. I have this already, so this is just a trader. But I was buying it for a couple of the other games. Like, I think I had most of the games, but you know, the ones I didn't have were valuable enough to justify bidding. So again, complete. Krusty was complete, as I said, in good condition. And this one's not bad. The box is okay, missing the wee willy winky. But you know, it's passable. This is, you know, good enough. Let's see, I'll leave that one. Now we're getting to the ones that were a little more questionable. But this was the second one I looked for out of the box. And I'm not too sure if this will come across on camera, but on first glance that might appear pretty okay. And of course it's Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machines. Now because of the Sonic name, this one can attract a fair bit of attention in auctions, and I've seen it go for more than what I pay for the bundle on its own. But I'll try and get the theme. You can see there's a fair bit of creasing to the pages, or to the insert, and fading to the colour, and let's see. Same on the back. There's kind of the paper's kind of got all fuzzed up at the top, and again a little decoloration and fading on the back. And then the cartridge, and someone has been chewing at it. You can see where the label has been kind of dents taken out of it. I mean, normally, and the same at the back, and the plastic itself, they've got dents as well. Normally cartridges for the Master System, there isn't much damage with them. You might get some scuff marks on the side, you know, where it's been inserted into the machine and whatnot. But because they don't have a big picture, you know, on the cartridge or anything like that, there's really not much of an area that can get damaged. And then there's the manual itself, which there's the front cover, and as you can see, like pen marks and whatnot, crayon marks and whatnot all over it. And it's kind of fairly dog-eared. And then the back as well, which is far worse, like totally destroyed basically. So I mean, the dog ears, whatever, you can try and flatten those out. Still smells. So that was the game that I was most interested in, and I mean, I've tried to straighten the page up, but maybe it'll come across better that way, maybe not. It's very, very crumpled up. It was clearly probably taken out and damaged at some point. So it's in, put it this way, I would not consider this good condition, not even close. I mean, that's average condition. Pen marks, crumpled, dog ear, you know, marks out of the cartridge. Certainly for a collector, it's not good condition. That's for sure. I mean, the box is a bit. The box is, you know, is slightly collapsing. No, I don't worry too much about the boxes because they're a standard component that can be replaced. You know, I'll take rare games or expensive games at a discount any time if they come with bad boxes because they can be replaced, and I'm sure I'll replace that box. Now, the next game then, one that I already have the European version, but I figured, this is the American version, so I might keep it, and it's Michael Jackson's Moonwalker. Now, I've actually tried to clean this up somewhat. For start, the box doesn't even close. There's no clasps on it. But this probably won't come out as well on camera, but there's punch mark holes through the thing. the actual, someone had decided to put staples through the box in the insert, so it was actually stapled in. Now there's no requirement for that because like the plastic's fine, like it wasn't holding it in. They just decided, I'm going to staple it like the idiots that they are. And then of course there's like it's slightly torn, getting a little damaged, and fraying on top again. Thankfully the carton and manual are in pretty decent nick. There's a little mark on the manual, but it's not too bad. And again, that's more like what you'd expect a used Master System cartridge to be like. The plastic has some scuffing from being inserted, but other than that, it's fine. So I don't know what the hell they were doing with Dr. Robotnik, but on the back that's fine. But it was kind of sod slow. Probably easily the most valuable game in the set was the most damaged game. Well, no, it wasn't the most damaged game, or maybe it was. Yeah, probably it was. I don't know what they did to the box of this one though. Thankfully, it was a title I wasn't much fussed about. It was Trivia Pursuit Genius Edition, and this one you think they might have stapled in because it's the plastic's all just lifting away. The box is collapsed in and it's chipped away. The manual's a little bent, but it's okay. And they've started to eat it. They must have been finished eating Dr. Robotnik and decided to start munching down on this label. I was hungry waiting for dinner. So, Trivial Pursuit. More smoky smell too. So, a very, very mixed lot. I mean, you started off and this one came out with the poster and great condition. So, very happy. But as it was going through, definitely took a bit of a nosedive. And when I got the smell, it was always at uh-oh, 5. But you can often get games that are in great condition but have a very strong smell. So anyway, I wasn't pleased with that because it was listed in very good condition. And by this stage, to be honest, I'm just pissed off with people on eBay listing stuff one way and then it not being like that at all. So I emailed them back and said, look, I'm going to leave bad feedback for you because I'm not happy with that condition. You've listed as very good condition, and I went through terms and conditions, and eBay have a definition of what that means. Now obviously it's not specific to Master System games, but it is specific in terms of what that type of product should be like. So for example, if it was a CD game, there should be no damages to the CD, there should be no, the teeth holding in the disc should all be in place, there should be no breaks to the box, no cracks, things like that. They do list it, and they are precise enough about it. So I quoted a lot of that, and I said, look, this isn't even close to very good condition. Now he got back to me fairly quick saying, basically he didn't want the negative feedback, and he offered me a full refund if I send the games back registered post. So I looked up the cost of that, and it would have been over €20 to send the games back registered post. And I said that to him and said, well, are you going to refund the cost of postage too? Because that's nearly the cost of the games. What would be the point of that? I'd end up being largely out of pocket and have nothing. And he said, nope, he won't. So I said, well, in which case then I will be leaving negative feedback anyway, because it's of no use to me to avail of a refund, and the games are not as described at all. At which point he then sort of relented, and he said he'd give a 10% discount off if I left non-negative feedback. And I agreed to that because I said, okay, I can't send them back because it'll just not be worth my while. And at the very least, Cosmic Space Head was in good condition, and Super Kirby, definitely not on the Sega. Krusty's Funhouse was pretty good condition as well, and I knew Stuart wanted that. And well, Dr. Robotnik was in poor condition. At least I'd have a copy in the collection, so he ended up giving me the discount anyway, and that kind of brought that set of frustration to the end. But for whatever reason, it just seemed to kind of ball up together. You had one guy who I was contacting and just wouldn't reply, and this other guy who was doing that thing of blatantly mislabeling what they have for sale, and people seem to think that, well, because it's subjective what good or very good or mint condition is. But the thing is, that's not that subjective when it comes to eBay. There are guidelines in place. So that's just bullshit that they're trying to pull that crap off, and I'm not taking it from those sellers anymore. And if I get any more, I'll be either sending them back or looking for a refund or whatever, because they need to learn that they can't do that. So anyway, calm. We leave it there, and we'll say it's 45 games to go. I know I hadn't shown those 2 games, but I seem to have miscounted anyway, so I'll take it as 45 games to go, and next week we'll get back on with some happier pickups. Until next time, Shlo and leave.